Welcome to this tutorial. In our previous lesson, we have seen about how to create a database and insert the data into the table. And now we will see how to retrieve data from the database. So this is a program that we have created previously to insert the data. And let's move to the My Database Helper class and let's define a method. This method have a cursor returning cursor object. So in this method, let's define a SQLite database db, which is equals to this dot get retrieval database, and let's write a query that retrieve data from the database. Just select star from table name, concatenate with table name. This table name is the table name that we have created previously. And let's define a cursor object and let's initialize it to null. Then check if the database is ring is not null. Let db if the database is equals to null, then just post message to pass the context first and no data on database, or database is not available. So we have to pass the length of the toast message over here. Length is short. Not sharp. Well, if the data exists, else assign the retrieved data to the cursor object db.raw query of query and pass the second parameter. And finally, we have to return cursor object, the method return to cursor. So in the My Database Helper class, we have write this method. And now let's create another layout that our data will be displayed. So let's move to the layout folder in our resource folder and create a layout resource file and name it to result. So in this result, let's add another container, the card view. And inside the card view, let's make the layouts to constraint layout. And in this constraint layout, let's add a text view. So this text view is for putting name, and the second text view is for putting email, and the third text view is for what? For the sake of putting. And let's add the third text view for a salary. So we can arrange the constraint layouts in the right hand, or in this is for email, this for email, this is for email, this is for name, and this is for salary. So we have to give the constraints for each of them. Let's make to this and let's make constraints for the constraints for each of the text view. Let's move to the text part and give the ID for each of the text views. Before that, let's change each of this layout height to wrap content. And for the card view also. Then finally we have to give wrap content to the constraint layouts. Content. Then I have to give the ID for name of user. I can say then I can change this to name. So this automatically the name of user, and this also. So I have to give the font. Okay, let's make color. For the email of user, change this well to text to email to salary. Then let us copy this and duplicate for others. Well, let's move to the design part and see how it so our layouts is arranged in this way. Nice. So let's create another class for custom adapter. This custom adapter will retrieve data from the database and give to our user interfaces. For that, let's move to this Java folder. So in this Java folder, I have created an class, a class. Just call it to system adapter. And this custom adapter extends from a recycler view. Recycler view dot adapter. and let's create an inner class for this customer folder. Well, so let us implement the methods of this recycler view. So we have implemented this recycler view, and inside this I have to create my beholder class. So just this my beholder class must extend from recycler view dot beholder. So let's make that, and I have to implement the methods of this class. So the architecture of the custom adapter is done. Now let's create some variables for later use. Just array just name, email, and salary. Well, I have to import the packages for this. So let's create a constructor for custom adapter, and this constructor must have different parameters: text and array list of name, array list of mail, and array list of salary. So I have to put it. This context I have to initialize each of the variables for the constructor. Well, initialized the variables construct. So let's move to this my beholder class and access my text views. So before that, let's define a text view object. So salary, let's start from name equals to item view dot find view by id r dot I dot name of user, and then for email item view find view by id email of user salary. This is error because let's move to the result and change this for salary. Well, then I have to back to the onCreate beholder method, and inside here I have to implement the layout implementer. Layout implementer layout implementer dot from context. I have to give the context as a parameter, and I have to define implementer dot implement. I have to give the path of the result dot xml file dot layout dot result, and I have to give other parameters, parent and third parent. Well, and finally this method will return the new my view holder to this view. So let's move to the onBind view holder method and bind the data that comes from the database and to our user interface components. Holder dot name dot set text string dot value of name dot get position. So this position is a position passed. So the position of the position of the array list name, that means second, the first, and holder to email dot set text So let's do this again and make it for salary. So I have to return to this name dot size. This have to be returned to this size. Otherwise, if it returns to 0 and no results will be displayed to you on your recycler view. So we have created custom adapter. So now let's back to the main activity and define some of the objects that we are going to use. The first, I have to create an instance of the my database helper class. Then the custom adapter must be instantiated. Then I have to create an array of name, email, and salary. So let's back to the onCreate method and instantiate each of them. I have to give the context main activity for this, and I have to instantiate a name. So name, email, so salary, new array list. So I have to call the custom adapter here. No, new custom adapter. And I have to give the context. Main activity does this, and I have to pass the parameters name, mail, and salary. Main activity does this. So I have to the recycler view adapter. Recycler view dot set adapter. And I have to give the layout manager for the recycler view. New linear layout, and I have to give the context. Well, so let's define a method over here. Display data. So inside here, to access the view data method. So let's define a cursor object over here and assign the value of the view data method. So if cursor dot get count to 0, then dot make text this. If the database table has no data, then we'll toss this message, else file end of data while cursor list, which means while there is, as long as there is a data, it will assign name dot add cursor dot get of this one is a column index from the database, and 0 is for ID and no retrieve ID. So it starts from 1 and email. So and this must be so finished program. So I think the code is over. So let's test our program. So we have run the program. Let us see the output. Well, what we have missed is calling the data in the output. And let's test again. The problem was missing the text style character, missing Y. So our program is running. I was missing a Y style and there was an error encountered. So let us type it and let's test again. Run. So this is the output of the data from our databases, user information we have created in our previous tutorial series. So and today in this tutorial series we have seen how to retrieve data using custom adapter, which is an interface between the actual database and our user interfaces. These are the data that I have inserted into the database, the table that we have created previously. And if you want to add a data, here is the interface that we added data previously into our database. So here is all about this tutorial. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe for more videos.